No, Bobby, no. Go put it on. You just can't lean back, you know that. There we go. Also not how I'm gonna reach my drinks. Maybe not. Oh, shut up. Is that already too physical?
Well, funnily enough, I am in a relationship with you.
True. Watch out for the Christmas tree, you're very close.
I know.
Okay, cool.
You have so much faith in me.
I know.
Perhaps I should just move it that way a little bit. Hey guys! Where's my hand in there?
Kay!
Just gonna do some free film. Alright. I was born to do this.
Maybe not.
Hey guys! Welcome to our show. My name is Abbie.
And my name is Anna.
And this is the Abbie and Anna show. That didn't go too badly. So, we have talked about doing this for a while. Anyone who has followed Wild for any amount of time will know that obviously all about getting outside for the benefit of mental and physical health, building connections with the natural world, with each other. But it's really important for me as the founder of Wild to highlight the importance of laughing every day, of living wholeheartedly, and basically exploring the values that make Wild wild. And I was talking to Anna about it, we've been talking about it since day one basically, and we decided we're funny. But
we can laugh about each other.
We can. Yeah. I can definitely laugh about you. But
every time you thought I was laughing with you, reconsider.
But we love laughing. We know the power of laughing. This year has been a crazy year, not just for us, 2020, but for the world. And we basically, we have a lot of conversations all the time about all the things. And we decided why not do some in front of the camera. This series, the Abbie and Anna show, is very much meant to be lighthearted with a serious undertone, sort of exploring how we're growing as individuals, how we're growing in a relationship, how Wild is growing.
Real life matters.
So today, in this first little video, we wanted to look back at 2020.
And what a year it has been.
What a year it's been. Where do we start? In January. Well, I climbed Ben Nevis. What did you do?
In Jan?
Yeah.
I recovered from Christmas and New Year's 2019.
Yeah.
It took me the whole month.
Did you go into this year, by the way, with like any goals or intentions? Like not the whole New Year's resolution thing?
Yeah, because I don't do that. No, yes and no. Some personal things definitely that I had planned out for the year. Definitely didn't stick to them. That's how much I'm gonna share.
Yeah. So I met you in February. No, I met you in November of 2019.
You did.
So folks, some of you guys know that I'm a personal trainer, a qualified fitness instructor. I had pre-COVID boxer size spinning circuits, yada yada classes, and Anna just so happened to be at one of my boxer size classes. Can I tell them the story?
You can, absolutely.
So,
your side of the story, anyway.
You came into the class in about November.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. I just like faff around with the music and just let people mingle. Because like people, no, I would be sociable sometimes.
Yeah, you would.
Yes, when people come up to me. And no, I love this class. It's a good class. And you came in and you just like proper in the corner, just like faffing with your stuff.
Yeah, because can you see the similarities here? You faffing with the music, me faffing with my stuff. Yeah, we can be sociable, but really.
And I come over and say hi to you, and you say hi. The story's going really well.
The end.
And was it that like the next class. Anyway, we did the boxing. You said you ended up being with me, but I don't remember this.
Yeah, because we were an uneven number, and whenever in the class we had an uneven number, one of us was doomed to work with this one. And
it was a very fair trainer.
It was my first class, and I was already really not confident going into boxercise. And then I was partnered with you, and let's just put it that way, I hurt the week after.
Yes.
Yeah. And then after your class, I was properly pumped. Couldn't wait for the next class. Was already trying to make plans how to convince either the gym of taking on a second boxercise class or getting personal training from you.
Well, that was it. So it was like, what, the second session? And I'm like, this is how you get girlfriend, people. She's like, listen, do you do one-to-one sessions? I'm like, well, where do you live? Charmer. Oh, maybe. So then, anyway, we swapped numbers, because that's how it goes when you're professional. And I didn't ever message you.
No.
And I avoided you.
Well, I messaged you, and then there was
Did you?
Yeah, I did message you, and there was this, I'm going to check my calendar and see if there's any way that we can make something happen. And I actually had another, a few people from the class who were totally up for it.
Really? You didn't tell me this?
Yeah. And you would, yeah, but that was clearly not interesting.
No, money doesn't motivate me, especially at that point.
The second time I was trying to get you to signing up for a personal class, you're like, I'm really busy for the rest of the year and maybe next year.
Well, no, because you were like, I'm going away to India anyway. So
True.
you went away to India, you just disappeared. And I thought about you quite a bit when you were in India. Because I was like, I haven't travelled, I want to go travelling, great. And I was waiting for that first class when you'd come back in January. And you came in and I made a beeline for you. I did socialism. And I went up to you. And I was like...
We're trying to stay non-political here.
Hey, Anna. Hey, Anna, how was India? And you were like, oh yeah, it was alright. I was like, that is not what I've waited a whole month for. You just brushed it off like it was a fly.
Yeah, it was. But then at that point, we definitely weren't close enough for me to share what, why, and what happened in India. So,
exactly.
Especially not in a public gym space. Like,
true.
Oh yeah, well, actually.
Yeah. Maybe we'll come and explore that at another point.
Yeah.
Watch out for an episode, What Happened in India. There you go. Great. Moving on. So... Then what happens? Oh, this is going to be... I don't like this story anymore. Now that I know where this is going.
You should be liking it even more now that you know where it is going.
That's a fair point. So anyway, beginning of the year, 2020, and most of you guys know, this is a little bit nerve-wracking for me, that I struggle with my mental health, and I've talked a lot in various podcast episodes, in some films, on and off, about the difficulties I'd faced with self-harm. I had a long history of self-harm in different ways. But basically I was very unstable in some ways with being unable to choose not to hurt myself in different situations. And I would wear a bandage around my arm, my forearm, because often there would be fresh things here, not necessarily bad, not that even matters, I was hurting myself actively, essentially. I probably should put a little trigger warning in this film, I don't even know how that works. But anyway, it was just a very hard thing, and I would keep the bandage on because it just felt a little bit more professional, obviously, in some way. I'd had it on at the end of 2019, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I would wear it because it genuinely made me more confident, because even if I wasn't actively hurting myself, it was just something there to remind me that I was trying, and it was a block, it was another physical layer to sort of engage the mind before something would happen. So I would wear it a lot. I went through months and months of just wearing something on my arm because it would just bring me more conscious at a time where that could potentially happen.
I mean, I don't even know. Was it the first or the second time after in the new year? And you had a bandage on, and I just couldn't bear it. I just sent her a message saying, you know.
Well, yeah, you said you went through like mental torture before messaging.
I did, yeah. I had a full-on breakdown, wondering whether I was completely overstepping my boundaries. But I couldn't bring myself to ignoring it. When I see hurt, I kind of feel like I need to approach it, and thankfully, it went down all right.
Yeah, I was in bed eating sweet potato, the standard diet,
as you do.
And it came through because it was after class Wednesday evening, so it must have been like 8:30, 9, and it comes through, and I look at it, and I'm like, I like literally felt nothing. And I was...
Your response was also, it was just grand. I'm going to find those messages.
Yeah, that'd be quite fun to find the messages. So, what did I say? I said, oh, thanks for your message. You know, yes, I struggle with self-harm at the moment. If you want to find out more about my mental health, you can watch my video.
No, so I mean, in my initial message, I just said if there's ever a point when you want to talk or whatnot, you know, just...
Yeah, it was a real spot-on message.
Mm.
The right length, the right texture. Yeah.
Okay.
Just utilising that number.
I don't even know how
But
exactly, but I
yeah.
said let's just meet up, go
Yeah.
for a walk or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
for me, that was a massive decision because I have always struggled with the boundary between being professional and having clients and stepping in a little bit further to be more vulnerable with somebody, because basically it was all an act. Like, yes, it was an act from somebody who was like from me inside of myself. Like, I would really have to get myself into a place. Like most days I would just be in bed, or I would just be like ceiling staring on the floor. Or just really struggling, and then my alarm would go off at like 5:30, and I'd just get changed, and I'd drag myself out of the house, and I'd get to the class, and I'd usually have a little cry beforehand, and then afterwards I would like try not to beat myself up about being such a rubbish instructor, and everyone can see through my insecurities, and it was really, really hard. And so then this offer comes to meet up, and that was good for me, but also something I really didn't like, because every time I liked somebody, it meant that it was dangerous territory for me, because it meant that I would want to interact with them, and therefore I'd embarrass myself and think that I'm stupid, or I'm making myself look stupid, and I just get so frustrated before I've even started connecting with somebody.
I completely
Did some research.
rabbit holed into the spend more time in the wild video scene, and I think just randomly we started talking about Golden Cap, and you said how it was the highest. What was it, Bobby? What was
No, I
it?
think a bird just flew into the window.
Okay. How Golden Cap is the highest point in the South Coast, and I said I hadn't done it, and
I'm like, great opportunity to take some for us a walk.
Exactly, confident,
and then we get there. And we
it started funny.
Oh no, it started. You got wet.
I was drenched. I was so soaked before you even got there, because we decided to drive there together.
I felt awful.
I just walked up the village to meet her at a roundabout, and on the way up, it just started pouring down like absolutely really pouring down. Heavy. My bag was full of water. And
I'm just seeing myself in the car with my foot down at like 90 miles an hour, like, gotta beat the rain, she's getting soaked, no, one chance at making a friend is screwed by the weather gods. So then I came to your house. Yeah, I don't go into people's houses, or I didn't go into people's houses, that was a massive step for me.
We didn't really talk in the house, because we just quickly kind of, you know.
You got changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we headed out.
Yeah. And then you were like, tell me about you. And I'll never forget it. And you were like, oh no, I was like, yeah, I've been filmmaking since, I was like 13. And like, I was literally like second sentence in, and you were like, I know all that. And I'm like,
I was like, let's just cut through all of it.
Can I be really honest with you? What? I've stalked you over the weekend a lot. But anyway, that happened. We did the walk. We had proper deep talk from the word go.
Yeah.
we sat on the wall drinking tea. You told me about your life. I told you about my life. Then
I told you about India. See, first meeting I told you about India. I just didn't want to tell you about India in the gym.
Thanks for that. Great.
Yeah. This is like towards the end of February already.
So then literally within like a week, COVID comes on the scene. Like a week or two.
No. So we had, I think, 3 classes.
Yeah. No, but it was like being talked about.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were like, things were changing. Yeah. So we were seeing each other a lot. Just doing little walks, talking a lot, messaging a lot, just interacting a lot. And, you know, you were telling me about some of the difficulties you were facing. I was just working through my usual carnage. And, yeah, at one point it was really funny.
Yeah, I think we had gone out for a walk, and afterwards we
had a class.
We had planned to go to the class together, to the normal boxer size class. And I just ran out. We drove in your car, and I just ran out, and I was wearing my winter boots. And in the car, I realised that I had forgotten my sneakers, but we were already running late. And you're just like, I just wear one of my pairs.
Because I basically lived in my car. So I was like, have some of these shoes.
And then we were in the class.
Same trainers. Because I have multiple pairs of the same thing, because if something works, why not buy multiple pairs? So we're both there in green trainers, feeling a little bit insecure.
Then COVID happened, and COVID was, I mean, I think it's fair to say that we managed very well. Obviously, you can tell from the story that Abbie and I really bonded over the few weeks before COVID.
I just felt like you were a very safe place, and I just really enjoyed your presence. Yeah, that was like it.
Yeah.
You're funny.
But we've talked about it. Like from day one, I felt the same. I just felt like we could. It was a good vibe, and then Golden Cap was also. There was just no BS. There was no randomness, and once I had made it clear that I didn't need the superficial talk, I feel like there was no boundary, and it was very good connection in our conversations.
So I was seeing a therapist at the time. It was very unsafe for me to sort of rigidly stick with the rules. I needed to have a safe place to go in order to manage my mental health when we weren't supposed to be in cars and things. And I needed to keep getting outside because that was also my safe place. So I had a letter, like a fully legal letter, basically saying, you know, for my safety, I need to be able to move around and operate with one other household, and that was your household. So during the first lockdown, I cycled quite a lot down to yours actually, because I just felt bad about using the car, and I was scared about using the car. So I would cycle, and when we just spend time on the beach, we do loads of fossiling.
We went for walks.
Yeah, different walks, just talking, not talking, working through the hard stuff, and at one point I actually finally stayed at yours, right?
Yeah, you did.
Again, something I just didn't do. And then
jeez, but shit had gone down by then already. Yeah. I mean, all the moments where I was just so glad that you were able to come, or that you finally managed to pick up the phone when you had to. And
I was just in a really, really bad place.
Yeah.
Because the year had obviously gone upside down, and I was dealing with a lot of other stuff as well, and just my head was in such a poor place. And like, I can honestly say, like now, and I've said it before, if I hadn't met you, I know I wouldn't be here. Like, that's how
serious it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
But you were still with your mum.
Yeah.
And I was still with my husband at the time, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, not a straightforward situation, not a real full-time situation as most people would expect it.
Great.
I don't really know.
No, it's the first time you shared this publicly.
Talking about it as well, and I don't really know where I want to go because us sitting here in our house obviously implies that I'm not living with my ex-husband anymore.
Yep. I come into the picture. We, from day one, are like properly forged in a deep, long-lasting friendship that is.
When I met you, you know, I mean, I had my first breakdown typing out that message I sent Abbie initially, and then after we went to Golden Cap, our first meeting, I called my best friend, whom I met when I was 6 years old, so I've known pretty much literally my whole life, and I called him and his wife, and I just cried and I couldn't talk, and she just said, Anna, what's wrong? What is happening? What is wrong? And she was expecting that I had yet another miscarriage or whatnot, and I mean, a different part of the story.
We can come back to that.
Exactly. Watch out for another episode.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
And I just said, Sarah, you know, I just feel like I've finally met that person who I know I've been missing all of my life. That one place in my heart that I had kept kind of free for you. It was just like you were that final piece in my friendship circle. And that's from the first time we actually talked to each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At what point did we know that there was something more?
Yeah, at that point. We went on a walk, and I
like the memories. They're good memories. Sometimes we lie in bed and just talk about all the things. I had started feeling like I was interested in you. And that was a huge conflict to me because I don't do relationships.
No.
And I never wanted to. I never ever wanted to. I mean, we can talk about this in a different thing, but it was bad for me. And like, I really considered if I could ever see you. I was completely torn over it. But then we were on a walk, and we sort of lay down in the grass, and I was like knackered anyway, so we had a little sleep. And I just felt really good being close to you. Like every time we were close, like I just felt really butterfly-y and happy and just very connected with you. And then the next day we did another walk, or a couple of days later we did another walk on Portland. We've mentioned that. And we were walking around, and there was one point where, again, just naturally, because I'm stupid and I'm me, I was sitting on a rock close to the edge, and you clipped our backpacks together. So we were like properly stuck to each other. And I was like...
Well, and I said something along the lines, well, if you jump, then I'm just going to fall with you. And it completely freaked you out.
It really freaked me out.
Yeah.
That worked. and anyway, and I was like struggling with what I was feeling, trying to interact with you normally, but like just inside, like proper war going on, you know, like gladiator style. No, Viking style. There we go. And...
Yeah. Gotta put the picture right.
Exactly. And actually, can we go last of the Mohicans? Native American.
Be whatever you want to be.
Okay. Anyway, and
do you want to go and dress up accordingly?
Okay.
So this happens when you live with an Abbie. Sometimes.
I'll just bring my flute. Go on.
So what was going on inside of you?
Not this. So anyway, that was the war cry. Well, hey,
so you're at war?
Yeah, I'm at war inside, but trying to be all like swag and cool outside, because you know you've got to be one with the ladies. I've never said that sentence before.
What is happening? Are you trying to impress me in retrospect.
It's getting hot in here. And the war continues. I remember I was cold at one point and I wore your jacket, which was funny because I had lots of jackets in my rucksack. But you insisted.
Really?
Yeah, the red one.
I don't know.
And it was massive on me. Yeah, you never remember specifics, but I do.
Also, thank you for crushing my heart.
Oh, no! Don't worry, you'll forget soon. There I was, in your red jacket, and we get around the other side of Portland, and I'm tired again, funnily enough, because it takes a lot of emotion having a war inside of you, but also being swag outside. So we had a lie down. We had a picnic and a lie down. And
back in the nice and sunny days.
yeah, nice and sunny spring days. Yeah. We were allowed to be out then, by the way. This was back to being allowed to drive to places. And I just felt the same normal conflict, but I could tell something was up with you.
I think at the time I also felt the conflict. It was just that moment when, I don't know if any of you guys have had it, but where there's just like, potentially this is more than friendship.
And up until that point, it hadn't even been there.
No, not at all for me, because it was... Are you rolling your eyes at me?
I did not roll my eyes. I raised
saw
my
it.
eyebrow.
Oh, for me, because... And one of my best friends from Germany called, and I just said, this is just weird. I don't know exactly what I'm feeling, but I know that I have to I have to tap into it and see what exactly is going on, and yeah.
So then, the car ride home. That was the song. Down, down, da 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 down, down, da 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 down, down, da 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 da, never let me down. Yeah, it does that. Oh. Yeah, we listened to that song and we were just both proper like squishy inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just all like, okay, for me, I mean, I think we have obviously talked about this, but we were at different stages of our feelings.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Slightly.
And that essentially, I don't know, that essentially just made me, it just pushed me, it made me want to make a decision for myself. And in that moment, it meant that I had to choose my freedom in exploring whatever it was or wasn't between the two of us, over my, at the time, husband. I think that's a completely different conversation, and if at any point in the future I feel ready for it, I might go into
It's really important with these conversations. We want to be real, but we also want to be real with ourselves, and that therefore means like we will, like this year we've hinted at it being a hard year, and now putting it out there, that you were going through a divorce, is a massive thing. It's very, very vulnerable, and I think people can really underestimate how exposing it feels to put something out into the big wide world and not have any control over where it's going. But the thing is, you've seen me this year struggle with people critiquing, let's just put it that way, what I've done and the pain that's caused. And of course, naturally, we've talked about doing this for a while, and I've been very hesitant, and naturally, because it's like, what are we going to talk about? Because, okay, we can talk about things, we can skirt around things, but it also makes it very difficult for us because we're very real, honest people. So just finding that balance is something, we might come up against walls, but I'm really hoping that we can learn through this and grow with this, and we will share things over time if that feels right for us, and that is the only way that we will push things further, is if it feels right.
Yes, absolutely. I chose to read Untamed, actually.
Oh, Glennon Doyle ruined our lives.
I mean,
That was it, man.
that was so it. Also, you.
I know that you're such a that. Okay.
I'm just every time you're boshing into bauble.
Bauble. Glennon Doyle wrote Untamed. I talked about her this morning actually on my podcast.
Did you?
I did. Yes. Did I read it first? I read it first.
You read it first, and you brought it into my life. You did Sneasel in there.
Sneasel. Yeah, I sneezled in there. That's really fun.
Like a weasel, Sneasel.
I ain't no weasel.
A sneezing weasel.
Can I?
Sneasel.
I want to be a different
A
animal.
badger.
They're quite funny. Can I be a buzzard?
I know, the Abbie and Anna show is all wild and happy and laughing.
But I've had it.
Be a buzzard. Be a buzzard.
Great. Okay, I'm a buzzard.
Then
You read it. No, you listened to it.
I listened to it.
And there's so many parallels with that book.
And every page I turned, I was back on the phone with Abbie. And first I was just joking, then I was realising what I actually did in my own life, and then I was like, let's leave the life, let's try something completely different.
Do you think you could have followed through if you hadn't read Untamed at the same time? I mean, I know you'd never really know the answer to that, but it definitely
I think it played a
assisted.
massive role.
Yeah.
Like, for the first few months, we've been talking about how Glennon and Abbie, it's their fault.
Yeah.
They did it. It was not our doing.
No.
It was Untamed doing.
Untamed. We always joked about making a little film and sending to them about,
Yeah.
hey guys, we got a bone to pick
Do
with
you actually know what you've done? No,
Yeah.
actually, it played a big role, and
Yeah.
I think it was very inspiring. For me, the message was more about just allowing myself to be who I was originally, which is somebody whom I think, in hindsight, I have connected some of the dots. When I met you, you were that one friend that I feel I had always space for, left, sort of, whatever, metaphorically speaking. But also you were so similar to whom I left when I was a very, very young child, because I had to grow up in a different way because my dad passed away when I was really young, and very suddenly I just had to be more grown up and more functioning and whatnot. And then, whatever else happened in my life, which is another big story I'm just rediscovering with my therapist, but it just changed me. And when I met you, it was suddenly there is this other person inside of me that I've completely locked away because I never felt safe enough for her to be. And Untamed did its part in encouraging me to allow that person to just come out again and to be. And yeah.
I'd say as well, Untamed gave me a little bit of courage as well. Hearing about what Glennon had done and Abbie had done and how they'd made their lives work, and like feeling the things. It was very scary because I mentioned it sort of went against everything that I had been brought up as. And, I thankfully had a couple of really close friends who I could talk things through with at quite short notice. But really, the number one thing for me is my faith and leaning in on that and feeling into that and how everything felt. Not that I'm ever going to know the answers to everything in that sense, but like I felt safe in that, and that for me is the number one thing that I need to know that it's okay to do what I'm doing, to lean into like the word and to trust that and use that as my foundation. So yeah, we just kept meeting up. There's basically like from walk 1 to Portland to a whole bunch of other situations where we just knew that things were
just developing. And every time we saw each other again, it was either you being in conflict or me being in conflict.
Yeah, it
or
was
us
not
being in
straightforward, like this
or...
is what we're doing.
Anyhow, after a few situations where we were just discussing, whether this was completely ridiculous or whether Glennon and Abbie were to be blamed for
Well, because that was the truth. Like, at one point we were like, are we just completely mad? Like, are we, is our judgment screwed because we've read this book and now anything seems possible?
And because, you know, you were somewhat unstable. I've always been unstable, pretty much. I mean,
yeah.
Within a fairly short time, decisions were made and we moved into a treehouse, period.
Well, yeah, because it was sort of, again, COVID-y. Rules were, you know, you couldn't travel. So I couldn't exactly get on with my filmmaking plans. I was stuck with Wild. I'd done my little campaign things and that was about it. And yeah, and then you essentially stepped out of your marital home. I stepped out of my mum's home and we stepped into the car. And begin 6 months of being homeless, basically. Like, we use that term loosely because we both had roofs we could be under if we needed to, but they weren't our safe place. And that's the key thing. If you actually look up what homelessness is, like, we listened to the Salt Path when we'll talk about where we were, but various other things, like homelessness is arguably quite subjective, because, you know, a lot of people have a roof that they can go to, a place that they can go, but it needs to be safe, and we both sort of lacked that. I mean, we spent some time at my mum's, we spent some time at my dad's, but yeah, predominantly we slept in my friend's treehouse, but not actually in the treehouse, but on the balcony. And it was pretty good though, wasn't it?
That was a pretty decent time.
Like, we had to wee in the bushes, but we would wake up to the birds over our heads, we'd sleep in our sleeping bags.
Good thing we love salad, because you don't need a stove for them.
Yeah, we would have good salads, just whip up tea, and we just spent days and days there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Talking through all the things. I mean, it's so easy to just, for people just to think that, oh, this was just there for an easy ride. But again, all the conflicts alongside, right up to the present day, nothing has been simple. So we've our relationship began in terms of that step further, but all of the other things have gone on at the same time. You know, you through your divorce, me with my mental health, and the other things that can be picked apart if necessary. Like, there's just so many things. So it's not just been a simple sort of straightforward, now let's just see how our lives blur together, because our lives were falling apart at the same time. So we've literally had to build them back up. But before we get to that, so we stayed in the treehouse, we slept to the tent, we stayed at Mum's, stayed at Dave's, stayed at your place. Then we managed to find one of your friends.
Through a mate of mine, we found a place. She had a holiday cottage, and obviously at the time there was no holiday making. But we were looking for short-term lets as well, and it was just utter carnage. And I know that because obviously, you know, having had a holiday accommodation, so many people had to just get into safe accommodation, and we actually, that is my ex-husband and I, had someone staying in our holiday accommodation over the lockdown who was splitting up. I know of other friends where the husband was very abusive and she had to just run away with the kids to stay in a holiday accommodation, and one of my friend offered us her holiday accommodation.
Only a couple of weeks in the end.
Yeah, for a couple of weeks.
But it was in the area because you still had some work going on.
Yeah.
I was still sort of doing things with Wild as much as I possibly could. But we knew that once we had to get out there, which was July, like, it was just constant what's next, because we didn't want to just go in and rent a place. We couldn't just go in and rent a place. We didn't have
Within 60 seconds, places were off the market.
Just like that, yeah.
Because so many people...
We didn't get any viewings of anything. Yeah. It was really disheartening.
Got on a few waiting lists.
Yeah. To hear nothing back.
Yeah.
But we also didn't just want to go somewhere random, like a random high street flat, because I have the things that I need for my mental health. It needs to be quiet, it needs to be safe, I need to be able to walk. We both wanted some breathing space. We both needed enough space because, I obviously work from home and yada yada, all the different things. So it was not simple to just get a place to live. So anyway, we then went up to Scotland because we were able to travel again. I did some filming for Wild, you came along. We opened the store for a t-shirt sale, so then we were quite busy for a bit, and that was like a little bit of focus, sort of detaching us from the carnage that was going on.
It was just another chapter of 2.5 weeks.
But everything had an end, had a cap. Yeah. So there was a constant, ruffling of the feathers because we were never truly able to relax. And I remember we got to Scotland. It was like 3 days before we actually got out and did anything. And I really think I look back at that and it's because we were just exhausted and we were just so agitated and like newly.
Whenever I wasn't pissed off, you were pissed off. And whenever you weren't pissed off, I was in a heap or you were.
And I was, literally it was opposites. Like you'd be having a rough day, I'd be having a rough day. And because we'd spend the day supporting the other person and that would just drain us of the tiny bit of energy that we had. So then we'd feel it the next day. And it was very intense and it was very hard. And basically, I mean, we joked, from day one, it's like, oh, it feels like we've known each other for 5 years. And then I said, like, I think it was in Scotland, I said, yeah, it feels like we've known each other for 5 years, but we're now dealing with 5 years worth of issues. Just like that. So working through all the hard stuff just very quickly. So in the end, Scotland worked out okay. By the time we left, we felt like, yeah, that was good. But then we literally had, I think it was like 2 or 3 days turnaround to ship off all the t-shirts from the t-shirt sale that we did, like 800 odd. That was a very hard time. I just remember you being in the living room, just like keeping yourself upright because you just felt so awful with the situation, and we just had to get them out. And I just writing all the cards, and anyway we got there, and then literally the day after we'd sent them all, we drove down to Dover. Yeah. Without a huge plan. We just knew.
Only plan was that I wanted to see my friends in Munich.
Yeah.
I was so glad to be able to know that there were a few places where I could surf on the sofas, and and then afterwards head down to the south of Italy where my mum lives.
Yeah, those were your plans.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how long we were going to be away for. We thought maybe a month. Ended up being 2.5. At least, was it? Something like that.
17th of August to the 10th of October?
Something like that. I mean, we weren't rushing back because, well, we can...
What for?
We'll just really quickly evolve it. We'll try and keep this brief. So you went to Munich to see your friends. I stayed in the Alps, did some filming for Wild. Had an awesome time there. I mean, this was a massive thing for me. Like, you were going to go regardless. And I was trying to get myself to a place of spontaneity. Because I was just still really struggling to digest that the year had gone completely upside down, and I'm trying to figure out my place in that.
And also you just like that travelling.
Yeah.
By yourself.
Without a firm plan. Yeah, because I mean, that's mostly how I've done things before, but the funny thing is the times I've had the best trips have been when I've not had the plan as such. But it's a head thing. Like, I really struggle with my head. I struggle trusting myself, my relationship with my head, and yada yada. But it worked out okay. Did some filming in the Alps. Then we went to the Black Forest. Then we went to Italy. Italy was hard. Then we came back up, and we went to Munich. Then we went into the Malaveg long distance trail. All of this is filmed. Yay. And then eventually we decided to come back because Austria went back into lockdown. Germany followed as soon as we left. We didn't have to quarantine because we had travelled through travel corridors. We were completely responsible, completely safe during COVID. And actually, it was essential travel. We were homeless. We were travelling to keep ourselves safe because we were both on the edge.
I think we can very, very honestly say as well, I needed the mental support for sure. I probably wouldn't be here otherwise. Yeah. And for you...
It was the same, just not for the family reasons.
Yeah.
I mean... and for work. Okay, we just had a little bit of a camera glitch. SD card and battery full and dead. So we have more tea.
How many episodes?
Episodes. We were talking about essential travel. You travel for family. I travel for work, for Wild and mental health. You also travel for mental health.
I also just feel like, can I just put that out there just because we are having this honest conversation? I caught something!
Oh, it's a bean! Oh.
Like, we've been really honoured with the guidelines, and I don't feel the need of justifying. We have behaved as responsible as I'm sure all of us have, and...
Well, we wouldn't have been allowed to travel if we weren't allowed to travel.
Exactly.
And we don't need to go into any more detail with that. I know that it's a sensitive spot for people, hence why we're raising it a little bit. We don't want to get defensive. If there's anything you have some concerns around, please feel free to just drop us a message. All good. We made it back to the UK. I
You did?
No. First of all, we got stuck in the lorry section of the lorries.
Oh, mean, come on. So we're driving through. It's all
I'm
good.
driving.
Yeah, exactly.
I drove on the wrong
Unfortunately,
side of the road.
You drove on the right side of the road.
The wrong side.
There's only one right side. Please, all Europeans, can you agree with me? Right and left.
Thumbs up
Right.
if it's the left side of the road. Which is
It
the
would be
right
called
side.
the right side of the road then. You invented the language.
Yeah, but I didn't invent left and right.
The language speaks for itself. Right is right.
I struggle a lot with sensory overload. We had the Salt Path book in the background. I mean, we had thousands of miles in the car. And don't worry, I know about the trip.
I'm not...
And Bobby is snifferooning around.
Yeah, I just gave him a cookie, but I think he's found all of the pieces.
Did he find all the pieces? So anyway, we were listening to the Salt Path book most of the time when we were in the car. And
Right.
I struggled with the hearing, with the visual of staying on the wrong side of the road.
Getting in the right lane.
Yeah,
as
well, and I was like looking at the pictures.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, because I couldn't read the words at the same time, because it was all the languages. And so I saw a lorry and a car, and so I followed them, and I ended up in the lorry section, just as in the little car.
And I had enough at that point.
You were so unhelpful. You were not a good, helpful, supportive partner in that situation.
No, because I had asked you beforehand whether you know where you were going, and you said yes, and you were happy to follow the sat
Oh, I don't
nav.
remember that.
So anyway, we're there in the middle of all of these lorries, and I just said, well, you gotta go and talk to the officer now. I wasn't gonna get her out of it. Obviously, I wasn't gonna just walk away or anything. It
felt like that emotionally.
Exactly, because I sat there in the car and I said, well, Phil, you just have to go and talk to these people. And you didn't want to talk to anybody. You wanted me to go and talk to them.
I didn't want you to go to them.
Of course you did.
You
You were there, sitting there, going, well, can you go and talk to them then? And I'm like, no, you're going to go and talk to them. But I don't know them. I'm like, no, you're going to go and talk to them.
Next time this happens, just give me some grounding first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that.
I'm still scarred.
Oh, no.
It was a hard time for me.
You got out of it all
Yeah.
by yourself. He just properly frightened himself and he jumped back into me, and then I got a fright because I didn't know what happened. And now you're gonna smash it over. I can see it happening.
I'm not.
Oh, I need more grounding, please.
Okay.
Play the flute. I mean,
we're gonna get good core muscles.
I thought I had a workout when we did some boxing earlier, but I mean, whew.
So, Eurotunnel.
We came back. We are back in the carnage.
In the carnage. Back to having nowhere to live. We stayed at my mum's a bit. We tried to find places to rent, tried to find places to rent, tried to find places to rent.
Really ready to make sacrifices at that point. I remember, like, pretty much every other day I said to you, listen, I'm very happy to just live in a one-bed apartment somewhere, wherever. I don't give a crap anymore, because I was
like, this is not helpful.
Yeah, I know, but it was
patience.
Also, it was
the
a
magic's
ping pong.
in the waiting.
It was a ping pong kind of thing, because
How are you? Gentler.
no.
Sheesh, I have to confiscate all the things. Have some safe feathers.
No, I hurt myself on those. Give me that one. Who's itchy now?
Oh, me. Good ping pong game. We have been having a lot of trouble with cameras and lighting. So we're trying to talk about the renting situation. So you were getting fed up with the situation and you were looking for somewhere simpler. So anyway, then we came and viewed this place, and we just drove out literally here into the middle of nowhere. Like, is this seriously it? And we met the lady, the estate agent, and were shown round. And I was like grinning from ear to ear. And we'd seen like only 2 other places, but I was just really demoralised by it. Like,
and we were all like, we got out of the car, and Bobby had been miserable ever since Penny left us. And Bobby got out of the car, and he was like a spring chicken. He was just running around so happy. Yeah. And then
so Penny was my Westie. She passed away on the 19th of June, 2 days after my birthday, which was is just fill in the blank. But yes, we're on a farm. We are literally on the edge of Exmoor. We're about 4 miles away from the edge of Exmoor, in the southwest of England. Literally 100 metres up the road, the track thing, which you can't get up if it's rained because it's too slippy, is the cows, horses, there's all the sheep, there's chickens, there's geese, there's ducks. Bobby loves it. Yeah. And we don't mind it.
So anyway, after the viewing, we applied for this place, John picked us out of a whole handful of applicants who wanted the place, and I think they'd really gave us just the approval that this is the right place for us, because it just feels nice that we were the ones that he wanted to live here. And within a week we moved in. It was really quick,
actually. Get a van this weekend, get a van that weekend, move all the things.
Yes.
Accidentally dent the van.
Great, drop that in.
I drove into a wall because the lorry nearly drove into me. So there was the odd things going on alongside the trying to get our stuff out of the places where we had pressure to get our stuff out of into here. Things are the most together they've been.
Yes, absolutely.
We've got a Christmas tree which Anna made out of wood that she found. She scavenged. Yeah, a proper scavenger. It's very cool. Oh, Christmas tree, la 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 la. Oh, Chris. I thought you were going to join it.
Feliz Navidad.
Oh, shush. That song is the worst song. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. So yeah, that is a brief, not very brief.
2020 in a box.
2020 in a box. It's not really been very boxed though, has it?
No, we definitely got everything out of that box.
Yeah, we did unpack that box. We started this video wanting to talk about the year, and I guess we kind of have, but this has ended up being our story, which is absolutely fine and good. We may have
been our year. We can tell our year.
Yeah, true. I really hesitated about whether to do this on the channel or not, because it seems very separate, but the reality is it's completely part of it, because Wild is me and you and life, and this is life, and we just want to basically, with these videos, slow down from the travel, slow down from the hiking, grab a brew and just
get some real life into it. Exactly. That actually happens behind the scenes.
And the films are so edited, they obviously reflect truth, but the amount of footage that doesn't make it, the amount of good times, bad times that don't make each film is unreal. And this is real. This is pretty unedited. The only thing I'm going to be doing is cutting it just to quicken it a little bit for
17,000 times of us trying to change the SD card, the camera battery,
and the light down. And we have plenty more coming your way. So many ideas with this. Can't wait to drink all the tea with you and have all the chat. Okay. One bird, 2 stones.
2 flies, 1 clap. That's what we say.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh. The people who drive on the right side of the road. Stay wild.
Alright, let's finish this before it gets any worse. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, stay wild. We'll see you soon. I don't know what that was. I was high-fiving you. Bosh. Bosh. I'm rubbish. Bosh.